Good morning, Londoners, and welcome to CIAL from 90.9. Today we have a very auspicious guest in our studio, MP from St. Thomas and London South, Mr. Andrew Lawton, and he's here to discuss various things which is going on in London and the surroundings. He'll be talking to us about the multicultural communities and the development of the multicultural communities here in London and St. Thomas, that area, and he will be representing us in Parliament, talking about us, and our voice will be heard in Parliament from him. And we are happy to have you here, sir.
Well, it's my honor to be here. And let me just say congratulations. I used to work in radio, so it's incredibly exciting to see a new radio station in London. And I bring greetings on behalf of the federal government and congratulate you and encourage you in this. It's really good to see.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Today, you are here with us, and I just want to ask you, how do you view this role of a new multicultural radio station coming in London and supporting the other communities and the outside communities of London, especially the St. Thomas and the other cities which are surrounding London?
I think that we need more people telling stories that matter to people in the community. And we have seen London and St. Thomas grow incredibly. People from all over the world live here and call this place home. And I think it's important that we have the ability for you to share news that might be really relevant to one community that you're not going to get through the mainstream newspaper or radio station. And I think we need people that want to tell those stories and do that. And it's really great to see this happening in our community.
Yes. Like if you take 10 years or 15 years back, the community here in London, St. Thomas, Stratford, or the surrounding areas was very less. And within 20 years, 15, 20 years, it have exploded and became a very big prominent community in this area. And how do you look at that?
Well, I think it's undeniable. And I think we've obviously seen a lot of change in general. London, I remember when I grew up here, was basically half the size of what it is now. And in, I won't say how long because I don't want to give up my age too easily. But in a couple of decades, it's become a very large, much more vibrant community. And, we have, Fanshawe College, which brings in students from around the world. So does the University of Western Ontario. And we've seen even just a change in the cultural landscape here, different types of restaurants, different types of artistic and cultural and community festivals. And a lot of that has just been because people have brought their own experiences from around the world. And we're all Canadian. I think that's important. We all have to become Canadian and really live the values of this country, but we can all bring our own shared experiences. And I think that's why multicultural voices like yours and the stations are very important.
Yeah, that's how it grows. Like your voice, our voice, their voice, it all became one voice, Canada. Mm-hmm. That's right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you'll be going to different functions and you'll be seeing lots of people coming from different parts of the world. And you'll see lots of youth coming into the colleges. You are mentioning about the Fanshawe College. Mm-hmm. They are bringing lots of youth from different parts of the world. Not only one country, different countries they'll be bringing it. So, is there a specific plan for the development for youth in this area? Are you proposing some plans, or is there some plans for the federal government to support them?
Yeah, so one thing that isn't quite good is that youth unemployment is very high right now. About 15% of youth in this country cannot find jobs, and they want to find jobs. And one of the problems that has happened is that our immigration system in Canada, which has always been an incredibly important part of Canada, has gotten a little bit too uncontrolled in the last few years. And we saw this with international students, where there were just too many numbers, and then people, including international students and immigrants, couldn't find houses, couldn't find jobs, couldn't get healthcare resources. So what we need to do is make sure that we are always keeping growth measured in a way that we can build enough homes so that, everyone who comes to this country and everyone who lives here already can find an apartment or find a house, can find a job, and you don't have more people competing for a small number of things. So that's a big part of it, because what we have now is an issue in which a lot of youth, including in cultural communities, can't find that first job at a coffee shop or a restaurant that for me or you would have been easier to find because the employment situation is what it is. So we have to do that. And we also also have to make sure that we are not taxing and regulating companies and small businesses so much that they can't grow. I look at a radio station like yours. It's, all of the paperwork you had to go through to get your broadcast license and all of that. We want to make sure that we are making things as easy as possible so that people who want to invest can do that and then create jobs for youth and everyone else.
Yeah, that's right. You were mentioning about the work for these type of initiatives. Is there like some grants or something which is there to support these type of initiatives which are coming forward, especially if the youth are coming with such an initiative? It's not easy to go into that because like we have like lots of corporate companies which are already in there. And so when somebody wants to start something like that, is there some grants or some sort of support from the government?
Yeah, it all depends. And we saw just last week a new budget from the Liberal government. So I'm a Conservative member of Parliament. I'm on what's called the opposition side. And in that budget, we're still seeing what the government's priorities are and what they're going to spend money on. When I look at some of the grants that are affecting young people, one of the really important ones that I think we need to see more of is they're called apprenticeship completion grants. So when you do an apprenticeship through college to, maybe become an electrician or a millwright or one of these trades, that you actually get some money at the end of it to help you start your career, to help you buy tools, to help you, maybe build a website, do these things. So that's on an individual level. There have always been a variety of programs available for organizations that are trying to do things in communities. But I also think we need to be very careful to not look at government as the only body that can help with these things. I think we need to encourage corporations to start sponsoring things that are happening in communities. We need to ensure that people have more of their money in their pocket so that they can afford to donate and build up things. Because the problem is, if people look for government to do everything, they're going to be very disappointed because there's not enough money going around. But when government is spending money, we need to make sure that it's being done in ways that are really contributing to the health and vitality of the country and the people in it.
While talking about that one, we have the restrictions on like the Facebook and Instagram, of all those things. Like, how do you see that one?
It's terrible. And when this bill, so what it's called is Bill C-18, the Online News Act. And when this came out a few years ago, I was so critical of it because I knew it was going to lead to what happened. So the federal government said, the Liberal government, that they were concerned that Facebook and Google were stealing content from media companies. But what they actually meant is that media companies are posting their content on Facebook and on Google. There's no theft taking place because that's the way you access audiences today. And how Facebook responded is by saying, okay, well, we just won't allow news. So what has this done? It means that if you're the Toronto Star or CBC or CTV, you're large enough that you can afford to get your message out other ways. But if you're 90.9 FM in London, if you're a small independent newspaper in a small town, you don't have the ability now to access your audience digitally because this has resulted in a ban. So if there was a Conservative government, we would repeal the Online News Act. And actually, Facebook has said that if this bill were gone, then they would allow news on Facebook again. And it would mean that small, independent, cultural outlets could be able to put their content on social media again. And this has been incredibly important.
Thank you. Thank you for supporting that one. Like, at least like the people who wants to read the news locally can go and read the news, and at least who are doing that can benefit from that one. Thank you. Thank you so much for the support. And you were mentioning about the youth, how the community partners and especially the media like us can support the youth.
Yeah.
And also like not only about the youth, and the other people in the community, especially the ethnic communities here.
Yeah, one opportunity, and this is something everyone can do, is try to make it so that youth can get experience. Because a lot of the times I talk to employers and they say, oh, well, yeah, I had this teenager apply for a job, but they didn't have any experience. I don't know if they're reliable. So, provide opportunities for teens to volunteer even, just so that they have something they can put on their resume so that when they're applying for a job, it's not just a blank page. I think that's key. I also think that youth need to really step up and volunteer. I mean, I had parents that were very, very passionate about making sure that I was working from a young age. So I got my first job at 14 and I've been working ever since. There are a lot of younger people, for whatever reason, that don't do that. But then it means they go to college or university, they get to the end of it, and they still haven't necessarily built a life or built experience that they could use in a job. So I think that we need to provide opportunities to create volunteering and part-time work for youth. And I think youth need to make sure they're putting their hands up for those opportunities and not just sitting back and, playing video games or something, but actually like doing it and starting to build that early on. Because I know there are some incredibly passionate and dedicated, hardworking youth that I've spoken to that have given out hundreds of resumes and just cannot find jobs. And we need to make sure that we're doing whatever we can to break down those barriers that prevent those jobs from going to them.
That's right. And when I was talking to one of my other directors, he's already working. He asked me to ask you a question. Like, he wants me to take this to the attention of the parliament. Like, he is a truck driver, and he is driving like to states and then coming back. Always there is an issue of like the traffic on the border. How can we address that one? And will you be supporting people like that? Like, the truck drivers, they take a majority of the income which is being transported in and out of Canada. So like, will you be supporting them to like taking this in addressing in the parliament the issue of long wait times on the border?
Which direction, or is it both directions?
In both directions.
Because one challenge is that we can't control how slow or fast the United States is when you're driving into the United States. We can tell them, hey, we think you need to speed it up, but they're their own country. They have their own rules. And we've seen in the last year how that has challenged things for Canada. But on the way back in, I think we need to make sure that we are devoting our efforts where they are needed. We don't want an open border. We don't want a border where people that are smuggling drugs or weapons in or coming in illegally can get in freely. But we know that the truck driver who's going back and forth every day is a lower risk than someone who hasn't crossed in a few years. So, there are some programs in place like Nexus cards and fast passes that have tried to speed it up a little bit, but we've heard that there's a lot of work to do. We actually have a caucus in Parliament called the Border Caucus, and it's members of Parliament who represent ridings that border the United States, and they speak exactly about these issues. And I know we'll continue to do that, and I certainly will as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, MP Andrew Lawton, for joining us today in the CIAL from 90.9, and we hope like we'll work together for the development of the community together.
It's been a pleasure. Congratulations again on your launch.
Thank you.